Welcome to For One Mathematics GLP, Chapter 2, Factors and Multiples, 2.1, Factors, Prime Factors and Highest Common Factors. Alright, in this part of the lesson, we are going to learn how to determine the prime factor of a whole number, list the prime factor of a whole number, as well as to express the number in the form of prime factorization. Shall we begin? Okay, what are prime factors? So in order for us to understand what is prime factor, we must recall what is prime number. So if you can remember, prime number is a whole number that cannot be multiplied with other whole number. So these are the example. We start with 2. Okay, 1 is not a prime number. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. So if you notice that the prime number here are mostly odd number. Okay, so the only number that is not on the odd number in these prime numbers are 2. Okay, so all of them are prime number. So if you remember, from 7 the next odd number should be 9, but 9 can be divided by 3. So if it can be divided by other number that is, for example, 3, okay, 9 is not considered as prime number. Okay, so prime number can only be divided by its own number and 1. That is why 1 is not a prime number. Alright, so now that we already remember what is prime number, let us carry out some activities so that you can understand what is prime factors. So in previous lesson, if you see this table, it is very familiar. Okay, we are going to list out the factors, right? Okay, so shall we begin? So for 36, our factor will be 1 multiply 36, 2 multiply with 18, and then 3 multiply with 12, 4 multiply with 9, and 6 multiply with 6. Right? So if you still remember the factors of 36, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Even though there is 2 6, we are not going to list them once. 9, 12, 18, 36. Okay, so remember, prime number are mostly odd number except for number 2. Right, so our prime factor will be 2 and 3. Let us check all the other numbers. Let's see if there are any other numbers. So most of them are even number except for 9, but we know 9 can be divided with 3, thus 9 is not a prime number. Okay, so our prime factor excuse my spelling, of 36, okay, are those two numbers that we highlighted in yellow, which is 2 and 3. Okay, so these are the prime factors. Okay, now that we know how to determine the prime factor, let's check these following numbers. Can it be the prime number for 84? Okay, so similar with the factor of 84, we are going to use dividing method in order to know whether this number is a prime factor for 84, right? So we're going to check 84 divided by 2. Okay, if you get 84 divided by 2, you should be able to get 42. Alright, 42 is a whole number. Thus our answer is yes. Alright, the next number is 3. So 84 divided by 3, okay, you should get 28. Okay, so 28 is a whole number. So yes, it is prime factor for 84. Okay, the last one is 84 divided by 5. Okay, your answer should be 16.8. Now 16.8 is a decimal number. So if it's a decimal number, so it is not the prime factor of 84. Right? It is exactly the same methods as we used to determine the factor in the previous lesson. Okay, now let's list the prime factor of 80. So in order for us to list the prime factor of 80, we must first list the factor of 80. Okay, you can use method 1 or method 2 that you have learned in the previous lesson. I'm going to use method 1. Alright, so prime factor of 80. So I'm going to list out the factor first. So 1 multiply 80, we get 80. 2 multiply with 40, we can get 80. Alright, let's check whether we can use 3 or not. Okay, you get decimal, so 80. Okay, 4 multiply with 20, you can get 80. Alright, next is 5. So 5 multiply with 16. Okay, so the next one should be 8 multiply 10. And I don't think 9 can do. Next should be 10. Alright, so these are all the factors. Okay, the one that I circled. So I'm going to list it out first. Okay, factors of 80. So it's 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 16, 20, 40, and 80. Okay, so from this list we're going to determine the prime factor. Alright, so the prime factor are all the numbers that is in prime number. So number 2, 4 is not, the next one is 5, 8 is not, 10 is not, 16 is not, 20 is not it, neither is 40, neither is 80. So we got 2 numbers that are prime factor. So let's list them down. So it's number 2 and 5. Okay, so these are the way to list the prime factor of a number. Alright, the last example that we want to see in this part of the lesson is to express 60 in form of prime factorization. So if you see the word prime, means that our final answer involves prime number. Alright, so prime factorization, there are two methods. Yeah, there are 2 methods. So method number 1 will be the repeated division. Okay, the repeated division. So usually what we learn in primary school is 60 divide with, so if it's a prime factorization, we must use the numbers in prime number. So we start with the smallest one, okay, 2. So if I divide 60 with 2, you're going to get 30. So instead of writing in this manner, we are going to write them going downwards, okay. So the divide sign is now in the reverse manner. Alright, so just now when we divide 60 with 2, we get 30. Alright, let's check. Can 30 divide with 2? Okay, so 30 still can be divided with 2. We are going to get 15. Now 15 cannot divide with 2. The next number in prime factor is 3. So I'm going to use 3. So 3 divided with 15. 15 divided by 3, you are going to get 5. Alright, so when we come to here, the next prime number is 5. So 5 divided by 5, you get 1. Once you get down to 1, we are going to stop here. Alright, so 60 is formed by 2 multiply 2 multiply 3 multiply 5. Okay, so remember 1 is not prime number, so don't write 1. Okay, this is method number 1, which we call them as repeated division. Okay, the other method is, okay, let me do it this way. Sorry for the crooked line. Okay, so method number 2 is called factor 3. Okay, so factor 3 is more or less the number that you see here. So you may have learned this one in your primary school. Alright, so I'm going to think. So because this is a prime factor, I'm going to start with the smallest prime number, which is 2. 60 can be divided with 2. Alright, so if it's divided with 2, you're going to get 30. Alright, now I cannot divide 2 anymore. The next number that I can divide is 30. So I'm going to divide again with the smallest prime number, which is 2. So when I divide 30 with 2, I'm going to get 15. Okay, so far okay. Alright, I cannot divide 2 anymore, so the next number that I can divide is 15. So 2, I cannot use 2 to divide with 15. What I'm going to do now is the next number up, which is 3. So when I divide with 3, I get 5. Okay, so if you see that these numbers are in different level, okay, so in order for us to fill this 3 up so that it is balanced, I'm going to bring 2 down from this side, and then I'm going to bring 2 down so that it is in the same level as 3 and 5. I'm going to bring 2 from the 30 down so that we have a balance. Sorry, it's not 20. Okay, 2, so we have a balanced 3. Alright, so this final list, okay, this final list of numbers are the numbers formed for prime factorization. Alright, so the prime factorization for 60, factorization, okay, for 60, okay, is 2 multiply 2 multiply 3 multiply 5. Now these two methods you must be familiar, because there are times that we're going to use repeated division, there are times that we use factor 3. So remember, we are going to start always with the smallest prime number. Usually it's either 2, 3 or sometimes 5, depending on the number. Okay, so let's try this one. 96. You can pause the video and try. Let's try with 3 factor 3. Alright, let's try factor 3. See if you can get the prime factorization for 96. Okay, pause this video if you need to, and then come back for discussion. Alright, so did you get your prime factorization in 3 factor? Okay, let's do them together. Alright, so 96, okay, I can divide them with 2. So I'm going to start with 2. So when I divide, I get 48. So 2 I cannot divide anymore. So 48 I can divide with 2. So when I divide with 2, I can get 24. Okay, then 2 I cannot divide anymore. The next one is 24. So 24 divided by 2, I get 12. Alright. Okay, so 2 I don't. So the next one is 12. So when I divide 12 with 2, you get 6. Okay, and then 6 I divide with 2, get 3. Now 3 will be the next smallest prime number, so there is no need for us to continue anymore, right? So let's bring 2 down, okay, all the other 2's, so that they are in the same level as the last number that we got. Alright, so that we can have a balance that looks like a Christmas tree. Okay, so our prime factorization for 96 would be all the numbers in the lowest tier. Right, so it will be 2 multiply with 2 multiply with 2, 1 2 3 4 5. Make sure you write them 5 times, and 3. Alright, you can always check them again so that you get the same number as your question. Alright, so this is the way that we do prime factorization using 3 factor. Right, so we come to the end of this part of the lesson. Right, so in order for you to increase your knowledge so that you can be familiar with prime factors, make sure that you do these practices, these exercises that you can be found in your textbook. Remember, if you cannot understand or you misunderstand or you need some revision, you can always rewind back to the front part of this lesson. Alright, until then, stay safe.